So I've decided to do a bit of a handy tip for the day. This is probably more for the younger heads than the older heads, but stay tuned, I hope you enjoy. So here's a little something that I'm going to call how peeing in the bush will kill you. Now you may or may not have heard of a lady named Geraldine Largay. Wow, those things are loud, aren't they? Cicadas. Geraldine Largay, also known as the inchworm, was an experienced hiker. She wasn't a young lady. She was in her 60s. On the Appalachian Trail in the region of Harper's Ferry. And she went missing on the trail. And there was a big search out for her. The rangers were out looking for her. There was an air search, which was, I think, called off after a week or so. But it subsequently transpired that a year later, it's a very sad case, a year later somebody found her remains up off the trail. She'd made camp, she'd pitched a tent and tried to make herself comfortable. She was about, I think it was about 3,000 yards away from the trail. She tried multiple times to send a text to her husband, who was waiting for her at the next stop along. And she'd actually gone off trail for a bathroom break. And the text read something like, "Gone off the trail for a bathroom break, can't find my way back to the trail. Could you please let somebody know?" Something like that. Sadly, the message, never got through, and they didn't find it until they found her remains and the phone. So a very sad thing there. But anyway, it transpired that even though they'd stopped searching about a week after she went missing, they estimate that she had survived for approximately a month, 27 days, living on what rations, provisions she had left off the trail, and just was subsequent. She'd even tried to get to higher ground, apparently to get a signal, but eventually, after a few days, I guess, she decided to camp out and wait for help, which unfortunately never came. So, the upshot of that is that unfortunately the bathroom break cost her life. And why? Why did it cost her life? Well, she couldn't find her way back onto the trail. She got turned around, got disoriented. And that might sound perhaps a little bit implausible or a bit silly. You're welcome. And if you think it's easy, you tell me where the trail is. Is it behind me? You stop it where you think the trail is. Is it behind me now? How about now? Maybe it's behind that bamboo stand. Not easy, is it? I'm less than 10 metres from the trail. I found that case particularly sad, and certainly food for thought. I mean, it got me thinking. Her remains were found a few months ago, but the search was started more than a year ago for her. In this area, in March 2016, a 25-year-old fella, went missing in the bush as part of a hiking group, 50 strong. So a group of 50, and they come out without him. Obviously normally protocols would be a leader at the front and a leader at the back, etc. But nevertheless, he became separated. He was wandering about in the bush here with nothing, no provisions, no tools, for 3 days. And he'd wandered off from the group for one reason or another. Perhaps it was taking a leak, or perhaps he couldn't, I think it was because he couldn't cross a stream that they were crossing, or didn't feel confident enough. There was another case of a mother of 3, which I think probably is one of the more remarkable cases. A mother of 3 became separated from her family while out on a hiking trip in this bush. All out search for the police were out, the search and rescue were out. 7 days later, she walked out of the bush and into somebody's house. So this woman, with no training, no special equipment, no water container, wandered about in the bush for 7 days, survived 7 days. And tell you what, when the lights go out here, when the sun goes down, it's pitch black. Pitch black. You can't see a thing. You certainly can't move about at night. So that just shows you. And apparently she survived by drinking river water, and ultimately found her way out following the river along. So there's an interesting lesson there. So how can we make it safer? How can we not be lost? How can we not get ourselves lost? Well, here's a few tips. Firstly, if you're moving as part of a group and you have to leave the trail for some reason, you have to notify somebody. You've got to let somebody know that you're leaving. So make a big song and dance about it. Of course, modesty with most people means that they don't, and that's the problem. So, you leave the trail, notify people that you're leaving, get somebody to wait on the trail for you, because they can call out to you if push comes to shove. When you leave the trail, choose an interesting and unique feature. That can be difficult, but here's one. You can see that the root system starts 4 feet above the ground level. So I would choose this point to leave the trail and move in to do whatever I had to do. As you move through, you can leave signs just as you pass. Something for you to follow back again. Obviously you wouldn't be moving too far off the trail. And when you bend something down, you always bend it into the direction that you've come from, so that when you're following it back, not the direction you've come from actually, the direction of the last mark. But it means that when you come across it, you can follow the line of it back towards the trail. So if you do that every few feet, just a twig here and a mark there, you know that you've done that. It sticks out like a sore thumb. It's not behind the bamboo stand. It's actually over there, behind me now. Can you see it yet? Me neither. Literally You got to be right on it to see it. Here we are, back at the trail. If you do get turned around, the trick is to stay calm. Take a rest and listen. Because if you're with a group, you might be able to hear them. And if they call you, if they're missing you, you'll be able to hear them call and be able to respond when they're listening. Of course, if we're going hiking as a group, we're going into the wilds, we should carry some form of signalling device, at the very least a whistle, so you can let them know, they can hear it. When they hear that, it's a very unusual noise, their ears will prick up and they will backtrack to where they think it came from and start making some noise back, of course. You can make a chip in the tree, look. You can make a chip in the tree, that sticks out. You can do something in the dirt as you walk that points back to where you came from as you take the few steps in, like that. So there it is, how you can die taking a pee in the bush and how to ensure that you don't. Thanks for watching.